Okay, I'm just waiting for Autumn slash Ariel to be on here. So we will see. Give it a few minutes here. Let me see if I need to add her again. How do I do this? Let's go up here. Uh-oh. Dropped my camera. Okay. Let's see where. Where is she? Come on, Autumn. Where are you? Okay, I've got to use. Okay, I will be back. I'm trying to. I thought I were. Oh. Here we go. On camera. Okay. Got her. I think she's getting added on now here. There you are.
Wow, this one a lot easier.
Yes, we were a little more prepared this time. And we do have a few minutes to like make sure everybody's
Okay.
here.
So I have a stain on my shirt. Can you see it?
No, I can't. It's I think it looks very what's the word, tie dye. Yeah, it's whatever it is.
Okay,
I can't tell. Okay,
I was cleaning today, so
okay, I'm trying to see. I'm trying to pull up Mike's Facebook, see if my face is in the frame right, because last time my eyes were cut off. So this time I'm just trying to, yeah, see. Okay, I can see now. See if that's a little better. Okay.
you see me?
Let's see. I'm a little delayed. No, see, my eyes are cut off again. Maybe.
Nope, I got your eyes.
Okay, I moved it a little bit here. Quite a bit, actually. Let's see how this goes. Because mine's delayed, so I'm not seeing in real time here the difference. Okay. Do we have any watchers yet? No, yes, maybe so.
Yes,
No?
I see one.
Okay, we got one. Okay. Are we ready, or should we just go? Because people can also watch it after the fact. Okay, so basically what I figured out here is that in order for it to show up on the frame properly, I actually have to have just my eyes showing in the frame that I'm seeing.
Oh, okay. See, I can see all of me.
Okay, see, when I'm looking, all I see is my eyes. But when I pull it up on the live feed, I can see my whole face. So, okay.
Gotcha.
Well, I know you kind of did your own interview, but I think that, well, you can't ask yourself questions. And I know some people did post some questions, but I think that because I know you and we have been friends for so long, that I think that I'll be able to ask questions that other people might be thinking about or wondering about, and that you'll be able to answer. And I'm obviously going to steal some of your questions that you asked me too. You look like you're already ready to cry. Are you already emotional? Okay.
It's so funny being on the opposite side of the chair. It's so easy.
You
So
mean
let
my
me show
size
you
right now?
look, this is what I'm doing. I'm
Oh.
doodling.
Oh, okay. You're saying being the one being interviewed.
Yes.
But look at what I see. See how confusing that is? That's why I was all cut off.
Is this how it will record?
This is how it is recording. It's already
Okay.
live right now.
Alright.
Okay, so first question I'm going to ask you is, how long were you in the House of Yahweh? Like, what was the time span, the years, like when you started and when you left?
We came Tabernacles of 89, and I left October 8th of 1999. So 11 years.
11 years. More than twice as long as me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and ask you the same question you asked me. And I actually don't even fully remember exactly how I answered this question, but why did you stay so long?
Well, because my mom was there, my dad was there, my brother was there. I had gotten married, I had children, several different reasons. One of the reasons is, and I need to make sure that my family understands this very loudly. My aunts and my cousins understand this very loudly and very clearly. I was so ashamed. I was so shamed. I was shamed by my ex-husband, by my family, by other people, that I thought I was unworthy of anybody. So I never reached out for help because I didn't know what they had told them. I didn't know what was being said. And then I was also told that if I ever tried to leave, that my children would be taken from me. And one thing I did not say was that Ben was actually taken from me when he was 2 months old, and I didn't get him back until Hazel died. And Sarah Beth was taken from me when she was a couple of months old, just for the night. But my head was so filled with everything. I was scared to lose my kids. I didn't have anybody in the world to help me. I didn't have a formal education. I didn't have a trade. So that's why I stayed.
Yes, and those are actually probably the same reason that a lot of people are still in there right now and scared to leave. So very similar. It's very similar reasoning. And I actually was going to pose that question to you about your children being taken away. And what I was going to ask you was that, what was that? And for anybody who doesn't know, they now know because you just shared that with everyone. But what was that like for you? And do you know what it was like for your children? Do either of them remember? Obviously, Sarah doesn't. I don't know how much Ben might remember a little bit more. And do you think there were any long-term effects of that, not only for you, but for your children? And has it affected your current relationships with your children, and how?
Wow, Melody, we're not even 5 minutes in.
I know, yeah, but because you brought it up, I had to jump down on my questionnaire here.
Okay. So,
You want me to ask them one piece at a time now?
no, it's
What
good.
was it like? What was it like for you?
So for me, it was heart-wrenching. But when they really got, now let me say this, when Ben got taken from me at such a young age and I was still there, it was absolutely, positively heart-wrenching. I felt that I had failed him. I felt every time I went around him and he would scream around me because he didn't know who I was. It broke my heart. I often believed that I was a bad parent. Then after I left, shortly after I left, a couple of weeks, as a matter of fact, they took my children straight from the babysitters. And they disappeared with them for 6 months. And it was very difficult on me. I cried day and night for them. I was allowed phone calls that were monitored. Did it affect my children? Yes. My children were told, Sarah Beth, Ruby was little. She doesn't probably remember a whole lot. Ben and Sarah do. They were told that I was Satan, that I was Satan's sister, that I was evil, that I hated them, that I didn't love them. You know, my children cried for me. My girls especially cried for me. And it took me 6 months to get them back. Does it affect our relationship now? No. No. We are a strong family unit, I do believe, because of it, because I was never, ever, ever going to be the mother that I was blessed with. And Ben and I have actually had conversations, and he's actually, when Ben got out, when we finally took him from there, he sat down with his sisters, and his sisters told him everything. And he came and asked me questions, and I refused to badmouth anybody. Refused. And so, no, there's been no repercussions as of now.
Well, that's impressive. I'm because I would have a hard time not bad mouthing some people, but so I have to give you credit there.
Well, when Philip and I first got together, and let me make this very clear to people. I've been hearing for the last couple of days how strong and courageous and all of this stuff about me. I'm not strong. I'm not courageous. I'm not any of those things. I am what my support around me allows me to be. And Philip is my biggest fan. And when he helped me leave 21 years ago and all this went down, the thing he kept telling me was never, ever, ever badmouth their dad, and never badmouth your parents to them, because your parents are doing that on their own. And you don't want to be like them. And because I followed Philip's advice,
right,
my children, as they grew older, remembered what was said to them. And they're like, why didn't you ever do that? And why were you always speaking good of them? And I think that helped. Was it easy?
oh, definitely. No. And I suppose I did a little bit of that, but really not with the House of Yahweh, just in my divorce in general. Tried really hard not to badmouth, Eric's dad.
Right.
And another question I'm going to ask you that you did ask me as well. What were your first impressions when you first went to the House of Yahweh?
Melody. Oh my gosh, seriously. Wow. Okay. So do you not remember me back then, how girly I was? Remember, everything matched, and I had curling iron and did my makeup. So here I am, with Bath and Body Works matching perfumes for every, thing that I used. And I'm pulling up to a place with sand and tents and a shower room that everybody showered in. I literally thought to myself, what the hell? What am I into? I was not impressed.
Did that change by the end of that first feast you went to, or no?
Well, yes, because my cousin and I, who had brought us there, she's older than me, she had been married, brought me around to the shower room where you and Carrie and Justin and David Hawkins and David Moshe were standing, and introduced me to you guys. And you guys just immediately took me in under your wing and was like, come hang out with us, yada, yada, yada. Justin's my boyfriend. And, and then that's when your sister and I don't think I mentioned that. Your sister and I became best friends immediately and were inseparable. So then, yeah, then I liked it, because then it was cool.
Right. And that was, I sometimes wonder how the teenagers, especially any new teenagers coming in nowadays, I would really like to find out what their impressions would be that when they come out, because I think they had a very different experience than us. I think ours had an amount of normalcy that they don't really have anymore because of all the division, the boys being separated from the girls. And I honestly don't even know exactly how much they're allowed to even socialize within the same sex groups. Are they really allowed to have fun, really? Because I know that really they're very focused on being productive and making sure they're working all the time.
Right. And that's something that I had said to Sarah Beth while we were just eating dinner. I said, I would love to talk to kids that came out as teenagers. I would love to talk to people who were teenagers in the house and that are adults now. It would be awesome to
Right.
hear how they see life, is for their children now, and versus how their life was. And,
Yeah.
so yeah,
It would be
I'm
interesting.
totally agreeing with you.
It'll be interesting. Hopefully we can get maybe some of those type of interviews sometime in the
Oh yeah.
future. Okay, now, for anyone who doesn't know, you were part of and involved in a multiple marriage. How many wives did your husband take? And what was the order? Like, where were you in that sequence?
I was the first.
You were the first. I knew that. I'm pretending I didn't.
I was the first. And then he married 3 other wives. Um, I just turned 20 when he married his first wife. And when the actual marriage took place, I was 20. When he had decided he wanted to take her, I was 19 and very, very pregnant.
Right. Do you, okay, how did you feel each time he took a new wife? Do you feel like you became more accepting of it? Did you become numb to it, more numb each time? Did your feelings change as he took more subsequent wives? And in what way? And what way did that change for you along the journey?
So when he took his first wife, I was devastated, heartbroken, jealous, all over the map. And I think what even hurt me the most was that people
You
that I
made a
thought
second wife.
yes, second wife, sorry. His first, yes, his second wife. And what even hurt me the most was people that I thought was my friends were friends with her and being nice to her, and that set me off even more. And then I was being told that, this is the way that it is, this is righteousness. And I would try to be nice and to be over that jealousy and stuff with the second one. Funny story, her and I still talk to this day. Some of her children come and see me to this day. The third wife, when she came along, that was a surprise for me. I did not know, but the second wife knew. I can't remember if she'd said something to me or not. I can't remember that. But when the third wife came along, she actually came and told me. Not in a bragging or boastful manner, but just more of he won't leave me alone. He won't go away. He's pursuing me. I don't know what's going on. She actually ended up getting
Did she
pregnant.
not want to get did she not want to get married to him?
She's never said that to me. Did she? Okay. That's a twisted question. Let me tell you. I think she had feelings for him, but the longer they spent time together and the more forceful he became, the more she knew she didn't want to be with him. And before they were actually married, she got pregnant.
Oh gosh.
And I know that she did not want to marry him. She tried to back out of it. And she was told, you don't have a choice. You're having his child. You have to marry him.
Right.
And I was there actually when they got married. And it was not a hippy, yippy, skippy day for her. It was not.
Well, what was it like for you? Do you feel like you at that point had you become numb to it a little bit, or do you think that it still hurt just as bad the third time as it did the first time he took another wife? Or
I think it hurt a little bit. It stung a little bit. Because I had my youngest in March and she had her first in April. Days apart.
right.
I think it hurt a little bit, but it didn't hurt as much as it did when he took on the second one. Now, the second one, I can say for a fact that it devastated her. It hurt her.
You mean hurt?
And then,
Wait. When he took on the third one, it hurt the second one? Is that what you're saying? Okay. And so basically, she was experiencing what you had experienced when he took her.
yes.
But for you, how did you handle that third one being introduced into the marriage? At that point, was it do you feel like you handled it any differently? Had you at that point like numbed yourself, or was it just as devastating for you as the first time?
It was not as devastating. I had numbed a little bit. I didn't like her or dislike her. I just kind of went along with it. If she came over, she came over. Here's the thing, Melody. Here's the thing I want to say. A lot of people did not know this. So when the second wife and I, and the third wife and the second wife and I would begin to work together and help each other with each other's children, and if somebody was out of food, somebody would give food and stuff like that, Yedidia would come in and cause strife and turmoil. Let me tell you what Autumn said. Let me tell you what the second one said. Or go to the third one and say, let me tell you what Autumn said. Or do you see what he would say? And then we would get mad and he'd be like, oh, I love you so much. You're my favorite, blah, 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 blah. And you're hanging on to that hope. And then the three of us would start fighting. But then when we would actually come together and talk, we would be like, I didn't say that. I didn't say that either. So by the time the second one came along, Melody, I was numb to it. And my feelings towards Yedidia were growing out of love and into fear. And I just tried not to deal with it.
What do you think his motivation was for kind of plotting you against each other? Because that obviously wasn't the teaching. I mean, weren't all elders supposed to be in unity with their wives? I mean, how is that creating any unity? Do you believe there was a motivation there? Do you think that he felt
1,000%.
What was the motivation? Okay, what was his motivation, or what do you think his motivation was?
I know for a fact his motivation was, A, he didn't want us talking what a jerk he was. Forget it. What an asshole he was. B, he wanted to be able to look like, oh, poor me, and run to the counselors and say, she said, oh, woe is me, they're not submitting. And then he would get lifted up higher. He did it to make himself better, and he did it to feel in power. It was all about the power of all of it. Carrie asked a question. Can you see it?
No, I can't. Why can I not see any of it? Is anybody else? Why am I not seeing
James it? Said, Melody, you look beautiful. Carrie says, were you expected to have any type of relationship with the other wives? With the relationship with the other wives, was there time spent all together? Was I expected to have any type of relationship with the other wives? Yes, I was expected to treat them as my sisters. I was the first wife. I was basically supposed to lead them, show them how they were to behave, show them how they were to submit, help them out when they needed it. Was there time spent all together? Yeah, there was a couple of times that we did meals together. At one point, we all three had a minivan where we all three had to go to different jobs, and Yedidia would have to drop us off. And those were the crappiest mornings they were, Carrie. I mean, we wouldn't speak. We didn't look at one another, you know.
That sounds awkward.
So then when the fourth wife finally came, I'll never forget this. I guess he had been seeing her for a while. I guess she lived in Dallas. He was sneaking up there to see her. I didn't care if he was at my house or not, to be quite honest with you. I mean, he would come over and he wore the fanny pack. He graduated from the briefcase to the fanny pack. And I would take his fanny pack and run with it and throw it out the door and lock him out. at this point, I just didn't care at all. And I was walking up to the sanctuary for services, and the second and the third wife came running at me, grabbed me, and said, "The woman that he is going to marry is here. Go in there and confront her. Make her not want to be a part of this family." I was like, I don't really care if she is or not. You know, and I walked in the sanctuary and I saw her, and I'm not going to lie, she was a little intimidating, but I didn't care. And I walked up to her and I straight told her, you know, "I don't think you know what you're getting into, but let me tell you." And she didn't believe me. She told me, "He's already told me that you're a liar and not to believe anything you say, and I'm going to marry him anyway." And by that point, I went to their wedding, their secret wedding. I was the only one there. And I left a week and a half later.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was what I was going to ask you. When did you start thinking about leaving and why? You led right into my next question. It's almost like we had a script. Did we script this?
I know, right? So I was working at Pizza Hut. I was a waitress and I was making excellent money. And because I was making excellent money, I was putting money away. And I was just saving up until I had enough for a deposit, so I could get me and the kids out.
I'm going to ask a quick question here, just interject for a minute. Was that in secret? That was, yes. You were hiding this money so that, yes. Okay. And this was because you were working on a plan?
Yes.
Okay. Continue. Yes. I'm sorry.
Well, little did I know, I had a telephone at the time, but little did I know they had bugged my phone and put tape recorders underneath the trailer because I no longer cared. They sensed it and they were recording my every move. Not that they really got much. It's not like I went into my empty house and went, "Ooh, I've got $200 to put in my envelope for my apartment."
Right, right. So you weren't saying it out loud.
Right. And I kept the envelope hidden in my tampon box, which they weren't going to touch.
That was
so what initially sped the whole thing up was Philip was my boss, and he called me on a Friday night and we talked for 8 hours, and I laid it. He was the first person in the world that I laid everything out to. And a week later, he said, "Let's go." And he literally, the girls, me, him, and a bag full of clothes went into his car, and I moved to Abilene. It sped the process up.
Wow. That's awesome.
And here's the thing, Mel, I know, you know what? I'm just not going to say it. I'm going to wait to see if you ask.
Okay. I don't think I'm going to, but are you sure?
I know you're probably thinking, why didn't you call Carrie and I at this point?
No, I didn't actually. Oh, and how did I miss that question? I actually lost that question. When I transferred my notes, I lost a question. So I'm gonna go backtrack a little bit actually, and because I wrote my notes really quick and then transferred them, and I forgot a question, left one out, and that question was about I'm sure you remember that a couple of years after I had left, I made a trip to Abilene. I'm going to say Eric and Sarah were around 3, if I remember right, around 3 years old, and maybe 4 at most. And I called you when I was there. I obviously still had your number, and you hadn't changed it, luckily. And I asked you if you would meet me in secret, because I knew you weren't allowed to see me because I left. And you agreed to meet me, and we met at your parents' trailer. And I think you and I both, there was a lot of tension in that visit, even though it was good to see you, good for you to see me, good for me to see you. But I think there was a lot that was left unsaid in that interaction. And unfortunately, I suspect we were thinking the same things, but I of course was hoping you were ready to leave, And I think you expressed some unhappiness, certainly, and some doubts about some of the things that were going on. But I didn't get the vibe that you were at that point ready to run. What was happening for you at that point in time? How were you handling that? How were you feeling? What were you thinking?
I was so excited to see you. I was so happy to see you. I had Ruby. Ruby was just an itty bitty baby.
Yep, I kind of forgot about that. Yeah.
Ruby was not Eudidius.
Oh, I actually forgot about that. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Ruby is a
Yeah.
product of, if you can sleep with a whole bunch of women, I'm going to sleep with one of your closest friends. Not one of my proudest moments, but Ruby is my pride and joy, so it is what it is. I was sitting in my dad's green chair, and you were sitting on the couch. And I think you had already had Tyler.
I think I was pregnant with Tyler.
Okay. And I wanted to tell you everything. I wanted to tell you about the abuse. I wanted to tell you about how I was living. I wanted to tell you everything. But here's what stopped me. I didn't want you to say to me, you deserve this. You should have left when you could have. You made your bed, now lay in it. You know, it was just all of that stuff. Nothing was ever said outright on either part. And I know that you wanted to say to me, run with me. And I wanted you to say that. I wanted you to say that to me more than anything, because I'll be honest with you, man, at that point, I had it drilled in my head so much how worthless I was. And I wanted to leave with you. And why I did not call you when I finally made the decision to leave, because it had been, at that point, what, 6 years since I had seen you.
Right.
And I just knew you or your sister or your mom or your dad would say to me, why didn't you come with us the first time? Why were you stupid enough to stay with him?
Well, just so you know, the only reason I didn't ask you to go is because I felt pretty conditioned from being there myself and being a member that would
Right.
be the one thing I would say that would push you away, where you would cut me out completely and I wouldn't
Right.
have any contact. So because that's the mind tricks, that's the games they play to
Right.
to plot people against each other without them even realizing it's going on, because it's so hidden. It's so hidden. So here's a question for you. What aspect of the House of Yahweh teachings do you think is the most destructive, and why?
um, marriage and slavery. The fact that the man is the head of the household, you do what he says, you don't question, you are to submit and be subservient and be a servant to him, and he can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, however he wants, and you don't get a say, is the most destructive, hateful, abusive law. He can beat the tar out of your child for not putting their shoe up and not have to answer for it. And he can come in, and as long as he gives you whatever type of roof over your head and a piece of clothing and a piece of bread, he's fulfilled his obligation, and then he can go to another wife, and that you are his slave. That is the most awful, awful, awful thing. Because I have been with Philip for 21 years, and I will say this right here, and people are going to go, wait a minute, you just said that, now you're saying this. Philip is the head of my house. He is the head of our house. However, let me tell you something. Philip takes my consideration into everything. If I don't feel well, he steps up. If I'm being too feisty, he's like, well, calm it down now, slow back. Or, you know, he discusses things with me. There are times that I do lean on him to make the final decision because I'm all over the place with all my emotions. He's not. It's black or it's white with him. But it took me many, many years before I got to the point to where I could think of a man being a partner without constantly telling him, don't you tell me to pick up your underwear, when he could just possibly be just like, hey, can you pick those up? I accidentally dropped them.
Right.
I mean, Mel, you remember you were there when Philip and I got married, and the pastor who married us gave a sermon on being the head of the household, that the men are the head of the household, and you guys just knew I was going to run. I mean,
well, I mean, I have, and that's what I was going to say, that when you were saying all that, is that is the difference between having a partner and being a ruler or a
yes.
tyrant in a marriage. And the truth is that in their teaching of saying that a man shall love his wife or wives, that's not love. Let's be honest. We'll just put it out there. That's not love. Because when you love somebody, you take their feelings into consideration.
Absolutely.
You at least get their input. Even if you don't agree with it, you at least allow them to speak their mind or voice their thoughts about it.
Absolutely.
And I know you did speak a lot on some of this other stuff that I'm going to ask, but I'm going to just go over it again because I did post that we were going to talk about some of the current things that were going on in the House of Yahweh right now, including, I guess I'll start with basically explaining to anybody who might be listening once again that doesn't already know that the House of Yahweh is currently talking about having, or did they already had this? Are they going to have this multiple? This is going to be a multiple, more than one ceremony. It's like a ceremony where they're expecting all members to come and partake of pigweed and crickets for, what is it, vitality of life or something?
Yeah, it's a vital test of life. And it's already happened. It already happened, I think, a couple of weeks ago, I do believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you heard anything that there's supposed to be another one, or is that's just rumor at this point? We haven't gotten
That's
confirmation.
just rumor. And to my knowledge, that's rumor at this point. Anybody listening, if you know differently, let us know.
Right. So, what are your thoughts on that and on Shaul dying, and just that whole idea in general?
So my thoughts on Shaul dying. I'm not gonna lie, my first initial reaction to him dying was ding dong, the witch is dead. He was a tyrant, he was a jerk, he was Yishmael. After Yedidiah went to prison, he was Yishmael's right-hand man, and boy, he used his power. From what I'm understanding, he was using his power way before then. But now that I have time to sit back and reflect on it, I feel bad for his children. I think he was killed inadvertently. I do believe he was killed. Yishmael coming up with this, when I first read that, I thought, what? This is what? And the more that people talked about it and the more research that I did, I became very, very concerned for my brother. And that's why I did my rant. That's what actually set me into a mood that day and made me call you. Because I'm fearful for him, because, you know, his wife called him and said, hey, your sister's worried. There's nothing to be worried about. Well, what is this that she's talking about? It's nutritional. I would never kill myself. I research things. No, you don't. You do what he tells you to do because you have been for years. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought of other people that are still there. And I thought, one of two things is happening. In my mind. I don't know this for a fact. A mass suicide, or He has life insurance policies out on everybody. This was told to me by somebody. He has life
Oh,
insurance policies out on everybody. He has all their social security numbers.
that's a
He has
that's a
all of their birth dates and social security numbers.
well, that's a conspiracy theory I had not thought of. But
Well, when it was
that
brought
wouldn't
to
put
my
it past him.
attention, I said, does he ask for your social security number? And they said to me, yes, he does.
Wow, that's a new one.
So
Well,
I don't know.
that's really suspicious.
I would like to think he's not, but the more that I'm learning from people who are talking to me, Melody, the scareder I get in the last couple of days listening to people and these cleanses and stuff. And I'm going to get into that tomorrow night with Sandra Arsamont and the cleanses she did. I mean, they're horrible, horrible. I think he's trying to kill them
And this
slowly.
is all right. And this is all stuff that happened before. So maybe that was conditioning. Maybe this is something that was pre-planned. I don't know that. I mean, it's possible. I don't know if he thinks that far ahead. Um, I maybe I'm giving him way too much credit, but it's possible. I don't know. But because I think somebody certainly would be a lot more likely to take part in something that they think is good, just good for their health, because, oh, well, I did that cleanse and I'm okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh, I 1000% with you. Agree that he was conditioning them. He was grooming them. He was an abuser and he has been grooming his flock.
Right.
I'm scared. And that's why I called you and said, Melody, we have to do this because I need for anybody. And P.S., by the way, on the one I did right before you, my rant, I got a Facebook angry face from somebody who has no pictures, no friends, no nothing.
Mm,
So I did a little dance. I'm not going to lie to you. I did a little dance and I was like, thank you, Father above, because if this is them, they have heard us. Hopefully they'll talk about us. And if somebody wants out, they will know. Send either one of us a heart and we'll do it. We'll be
right.
there to help.
Yep.
Karen McMillan, you know, she's a nurse.
Yes.
Slowly and without forensics evidence as these things build in the system. That's a good
Oh, see
point.
that was one of the things I mentioned, is that I wonder if the reason they are using this particular weed is because it doesn't show up on a toxicology report. I wondered that because somebody had posted that. I think it was Karina had posted that in the House Yahweh, one of the ex-House Yahweh groups, and said, I wonder why this weed. And I said, I don't know, but my theory would be that maybe it does not show up on a toxicology report.
I mean, that's actually a really good theory. I hadn't thought about that. And you know, you say maybe I'm giving him too much credit. Melody, a man does not stay from 1981, 1980 to 2020 in the way that he is with the money and power he has if he's not cold calculating and thinking 3 steps ahead.
That's probably there's probably a lot of truth to that.
Carrie says a mass suicide will turn into a mass murder real quick if everyone dies and he doesn't.
If everyone dies and he doesn't. Oh, meaning all of us?
No. What she said, a mass suicide, which we think he's trying to do, will turn
Right.
into a mass murder real quick if everyone dies and he doesn't. If everybody in the congregation dies and he doesn't.
And he doesn't, meaning who's going to kill him? What do you, I mean, I'm kind of
Yeah,
confused.
meaning if Yeshua Hawkins doesn't die, then they know that he murdered them all.
Okay. Okay, now I'm following the question. Okay. I can't see the questions, just to make that clear. For whatever reason, if I'm doing it, what's weird is the last time I could see the questions and you couldn't. I don't know. I guess only one of us can see them at a time, which is fine. It works out. But my next question would be, if there was anything you could change about their time, your time there, would you change it, or what would you change? And if you did change anything, what would it be and why?
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. For years, I went woulda, coulda, shoulda. Many, 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 many hours of therapy, many, 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 many hours of tears and hate and anger. I would not change a thing. I
Wow.
wouldn't change a thing. I met you. I met Carrie. I met Karen. I got Sarah. I got Ben. I got Ruby. I met Desi. Do you remember her?
Yes.
Daniel Demetro's wife. I have his second wife's children, the third wife, their children still talk to me. Her children still talk to me. I have so many names I can just go down and list right now that influenced me and that I speak to now that I love so much. Had I changed anything, I would have never met my Philip. I would have never met my biggest fan, the love of my life. And I can say that now after 21 years, I would have changed absolutely nothing because it, first of all, it gave me so many gifts. That's you guys. The biggest gift, inadvertently, it gave me my Gracie and Gwenny,
Right?
and it made me who I am today. It made me a better person. And it made me a stronger person than I think I would have been if I would have changed anything.
That's an awesome answer.
Keep in mind that's many, many, many hours of therapy, tears, anger, crying, and whatever that 21 years later,
Right.
I'm able to say that.
And I know you kind of already did this, but if you want to give a message, because you kind of really dedicated the end of your message when you did your own interview, kind of, you kind of dedicated that as a almost a like a message specifically to Bill. Is there anything else you want to say to anybody, either specifically or as a whole, to anybody else that's in there that might be watching? Any kind of message that you want to send, or just final words or thoughts?
I know I said it before, but I just want to say it one more time. Bill, I love you. You call me right now, I'll throw on some shoes and grab my purse. No questions asked, no judgment. We won't discuss it. For anybody else who's listening, you're not alone. You have nothing to be, you don't need to wear the shame. You don't need to wear the guilt. You don't need to wear the fear. You don't need to wear the what ifs or the woulda, couldas, or shouldas, because we've all were there. Melody was there. I was there. People that are watching right now, please do a heart right now so that they know that you were there and that you have them no matter what. I can't stress this enough. I had a beautiful soul inbox me right before this. Her brother is there and her heart is breaking. And please, guys, please just reach out. Just reach out and we'll be there. And Bill, just call me.
Obviously, I think what this all boils down to is we're tired of being quiet. We're tired of just sitting back and just being happy enough to be out ourselves. And we want to try to save anybody else from having any more pain or hurt or abuse. And it's got to stop. I mean, we've got to come together as a unit and speak and have a voice. And I'm just going to let everybody know that we are going to we're going to create a group. I'm in the process of creating a Facebook group where I'm going to start posting all these interviews, and I'm going to invite anybody that was in the House of Yahweh that was on my friends list, or just anybody in general who's interested, because it's going to be a public group, but anybody else who is ready to speak out or wants to be interviewed. And just so you know, if there's any specific questions that you aren't going to want to answer, we're willing to respect your thoughts. We're willing to respect anything that is off limits as far as a topic goes. But anybody else who's ready to speak out and wants to tell their story and wants to be interviewed, we're really hoping that we can get more people to participate and share not only the story of their experience when they were there, but their thoughts and feelings on what's going on now, or allowing them to send a message out there to anybody who might be listening that's still there, or their family members or whoever, to try to do what we can. Like you said yesterday, or the other day, was that 2 days ago with me, if there's one person that we can help with this, if we only help one person, and even if it's somebody we don't know, somebody we've never met, it was worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. If we spend hours and hours and days and months and years and we only help one person, it was worth my time.
Mine too, absolutely. And one thing I want to add, this is not a forum of hate. This is not a forum of anger. This is not a forum of you get to point fingers and point out what people did to you. That's not what this is about. This is allowing people to speak their truth, so that if somebody should hear, they can go, that's exactly what I went through. That's exactly what I'm feeling right now. If you feel the need to come on here and attack somebody that we're interviewing, you will be blocked. We don't want to hear it. This is a forum of love and trying to come together and and heal and show that you weren't the only one going through it, that it's time, as Karina just said, yes, we're tired of being quiet. It's time to stand, and it's time to stand out of love and respect and to be there for one another. Thank you, Melody, for doing this with me. I knew I wanted to do it, but I knew I couldn't do it alone.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And that's and I have a message. I have a message for anybody as far as the House of Yahweh goes. And the message is, we're not scared anymore. We're not scared anymore.
Nope.
We're not afraid. And we are here with love and open arms and willing to offer any help that we can, and want to do what we can.
Yes, no matter what your name is, no matter what you think you've done, even if you think you've done something towards me, if you need help, I'm here to help you. And Melody's exactly right. I'm not scared. I was so excited to see that person who made that face. I said, woohoo, third time we're going to be spoken about at services tomorrow. You know, I mean, bring it on. Tell them not to listen to us, because it's just going to make them want to. And we're here to help you out of love.
Yep, absolutely. And I tell you that when I very first, and I've shared this with you before, when I very first started our private House of Yahweh member group, that when I very first started that group, I fought anxiety terrible for months, because I still was suffering from some of the brainwashing. Still afraid. Are they watching me? Do they know what I'm doing? Have they found out? I know they know it's there. I know they've known it's there. But I was literally to the point where I'd go to the grocery store and I was looking over my shoulder, because I'm like, are they going to try to stop me? And at this point, I don't care anymore if they try to stop me. I'll fight it tooth and nail. I'll fight it tooth and nail, because I'm sick of being quiet. I'm not just going to sit back and be quiet anymore. And and I'm sure you were at that point. At one point, when you first get out, you're just so happy to be out. And even you want to keep yourself in your safe little bubble, and you're scared to speak. You're scared to talk. You're scared. You don't even know what you believe at that point. Your head is spinning.
Yes. 1000%. 1000%. I am doing a live interview with Sandra Archimont tomorrow at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 10 o'clock Central Time. She was married to an elder. She was the head judge. She was a head counselor. She was also in a multiple marriage. And I would really like for everybody to listen to her, because, Melody, this is what excites me. She was considered the cream of the crop. She was considered to have the best of the best and the best life. And what we're going to learn is she led the same life all of us did.
Yes.
So I'm
And
super
that's
excited for
very
that
interesting.
interview.
Oh, and speaking of which, I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm actually not participating in the interview tomorrow, partly just because I'm in the process of moving my son down to Grand Rapids. So I've got other stuff going on, other obligations. But that is another thing we are going to post in the group, that if you prefer to be interviewed by
Yes.
just Ariyl, Autumn, or just me, we can either do a one-on-one interview where it's just her, just me, or we can do a group interview where it's both of us interviewing one other person. So we're open to whatever you're comfortable with. If you want to
Yes.
tell your story and you want to speak out and you say, oh, I would much rather have Ariyl interview me because I'm more comfortable with her, or I knew her, or I'm more comfortable with Melody, whatever it is, or
Yes.
I don't care. If you don't care, then if one of us is available and the other one's not, maybe one of us will do it, the other one won't, or we'll do it together.
Yes.
So we're going to be flexible. It's going to kind of be a mismatch of all kinds of things. But, and at this point, we're still working out kinks. But at this point, we don't care if it's a little bit messy and it's a little bit unorganized. We just want it out there. We don't want to waste any more time. There's no more time to waste. It's too urgent. It's too urgent
Exactly.
because we don't know what any of this means or what this means for the people that are still there. And we don't want to risk it. We don't want to wake up tomorrow morning and go, we should have spoke yesterday. We should have
Yes.
said something. We
Exactly.
should have screamed louder, because it's too risky. It's too risky because then it's too late. So even if this doesn't do anything, we have to feel good about what we're doing and hope that it reaches somebody in some way. We love you guys. All of you that are still in there and all of you that are out.
I do. I love you all.
Okay. Well, I am looking forward. I won't be watching it live, but I'm looking forward to watching your interview with Chandra. Hopefully tomorrow night or early Sunday morning, depending on how things work out tomorrow. But that'll be fun, and I'm looking forward to it. And this was fun. I enjoyed it, and I'm glad you allowed me to interview you. So this worked out good. And
Yeah, you're the Barbara
we're
Walters,
looking.
man. You're the hard hitter. I mean, those were like, I was like, I gotta go, coronavirus.
Well, I will admit I did have Mike and Jacob help me because this was all put together very last minute. So I'm like, guys, you got any good questions for me? Because I'm like, I came up with some myself, but Mike and Jacob helped a little bit because I was like, so because this
Way to
was
go,
like
Mike and
within an
Jake.
hour.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, we will see you guys tomorrow. We love you all. Let us know whatever it is you need.
Yes, and if you want, I'm going to be sending out invites to that group probably tonight to any of you that are on my friends list, and feel free to invite other people who
Yes.
weren't in the House of Yahweh. It doesn't matter. It's a public group. And
Yes.
any of you that were in the House of Yahweh, I'm going to be posting a thing that if you want to be interviewed, you can either post publicly on the group or you can private message Autumn or myself about saying, yes, I'm ready to speak. I want to tell my story.
Yes.
Because we want to hear your story, because we know there's things about your story we haven't heard. Just like Autumn and I, we've known each other for years, and we're still hearing things about each other's story we didn't know before.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Well, we love you all, and this will be posted, so you can watch later too. So, if you missed any of it, and I look forward to your interview tomorrow, Autumn.
All right. Have a good night.
Okay. You too. Bye bye.
Bye.